So we talked about this earlier this morning, how you like for all the gentrification we see happening in Germantown, we definitely know that these new buildings mean one bedrooms are starting at $1,200. So that can almost guarantee you it's not going to be someone that looks like me or you. And that's beautiful. I would love to see a multitude of people in Germantown, a melting pot and everybody getting along. But these new developments are going to have outsiders coming in that probably won't look like us. And those outsiders love to vote. So as I explained to you earlier today, when I go to vote, I always vote at night, like at 7 o'clock, because I'm curious to know how many people have come before me, and they're always in the single digits. So that means not even 100 people come. So all you need is one building with 40 units in a particular ward or district to literally flip that district. So these buildings going in place, once they're in place, these outsiders vote all the time for everything. We traditionally, Black people only vote for the president and the mayor, and forget that the most important person to vote for are your judges. And the second most important people to pay attention to would be city council. City council
midterm elections.
I believe in voting in every election. I don't care if we're voting for who should be down the street, McDonald's or Burger King, and I don't really eat either one of them. Voting is important, and that's why at my daycare I take the kids to the voting poll with me. We have a voting party every single time. We even did t-shirts. I had special t-shirts made for each kid saying, please vote, because I'm not old enough to. And I have pictures of that, and it's really cute. So voting is important, but once they get what they want, I wouldn't keep paying somebody either if I don't need you anymore. Would you keep paying a car payment after the car is paid for? And you got
they want to move someone else. They want to move someone else in city council that will advocate for them. And they're looking for that candidate. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm not saying that's not a matter of thing. I'm just saying that they're looking for someone to do the 2035, to finish the 2035 thing.
And some of us that look like me, if we're willing to step up, do the work and say, hey, we must be included in this, and we get to the table and act like we have some sense, because we should have something to offer, not make demands and say, I have to be here, but I don't have anything, then we can be included too. It's nothing. I mean, your house is your house, but communities come and go and they change. I would like to see Germantown change for the better. And I would like to see anybody and everybody that's positive and hardworking, and beautiful with a great personality and heart come in and make this like the place to be in all of Philadelphia. I have a slogan, say Germantown Gorgeous. And so I named one of my Airbnbs Germantown Gorgeous, because I think Germantown can be your next South Street or your next downtown. And we're the original. This is where it really started, in Germantown. So yeah, certain people are going to be out because people are going to be tired of the nonsense. Hopefully they'll want somebody new and impressionable that they can train and bring up to do right by everybody and not by a few people.
We don't need a system training nobody. What's your vision for Germantown, Wayne Avenue corridor?
The violence and the crime, because we have a shooting cluster last year that was the biggest in all of Philadelphia, believe it or not. So I would like to see the violence and the crime go. And the way to do that is to make sure you give these kids hope by making sure certain things are in the school. I'm not a fan of charter schools at all. Not because I don't like charter schools, but because they're taking the resources away from the remaining public schools. And we sold and closed 30 schools just to make the other schools better. And then we turned around and allowed 90 plus charter schools. The math doesn't make sense. We are traditionally a poor city for almost 50 years. So when you have choices, you have to limit your choices, or your very choices could be the things that get you in trouble. So I would love to say we can have private school, Catholic school, charter school, public school, and a whole other slew of schools. And you can do whatever you want with your child, but you have to pay for it. The only thing taxpayers should have to pay for is one system. And if you don't like that one system, then wherever else you send them, you should be paying it, because we are a poor city. Now, maybe 20 years from now, we can revisit that, but it's a common sense factor, and it just doesn't make sense when you close 30 schools and allow 90 charter schools. The math doesn't make sense. And math is my worst subject. So can't afford 30, but we're going to open up 90.
what's your vision for Germantown, Wayne Avenue corridor?
Oh boy, I want to see Wayne Avenue lit up, tree lines, every store with lights and awnings, you know, flower pots, window baskets, and a variety of businesses that you don't find just in any neighborhood. And I don't want the saturation of all the same damn businesses. I hope I can say damn, because I really mean it. I don't want to see a bunch of poppy stores and hookah places and stop and goes and hair places and barbershops, beauty shops, and naileries and daycares. And I'm a daycare provider, and churches. No, it should be a limit to how many of a certain particular type of business should be in a 2-3 block radius. And then you know what? The reason you really want to do that, because the business that is there, it gets enough business so it stays open. When you allow all the same ones to come in and saturate, then no one's making any money. They go out of business, and then here we are starting back over again. And they don't care because the next person comes in and thinks they can do it a little bit better. They don't care that they're sitting beside someone that's been doing it for 20 years and has a kid in school. All they're thinking, if I sit right beside them, I can take some of their business. And so that's why we have something in place to stop stuff like that.
Plus, you want other businesses to come in.
Most definitely. I think I'm also a component of Business Buddy, as I call it. I took the program at community college for Power Up, called Power Up. And from that program, I saw people in the classroom, and we're cohort 5, cohort 5, and we're the best. I had 3 bakers in my class, one that did cupcakes, another one that did cakes, and another one that did a variety of things. None of them had a storefront. I said, why don't you get a store and share the store? You know, you can have the left wall, and then you're cutting the cost of operation. You know, now you don't have to worry about, I'm closed to go pick up my kid because someone else is in, and it helps you succeed when you have less cost and more support. Then with cakes and stuff is perishable. So can you imagine starting up a business and having to fill the whole store with stuff that's perishable? So by having 3 people in there, or even 2 people that complement each other. If you do cupcakes, just do cupcakes. If you do these special, just do this. And if I do this or whatever, then that's what I do. We don't step on each other's toes. We have 3 cash registers in there, but we're sharing. And I think that's what we need to look at. Putting an upholsteress with a seamstress. They have like things, but they don't compete with each other, but they would complement each other. It would be beautiful if I could get a pillow fixed at the same time I'm getting fitted for a dress. And can you imagine how pretty the store would probably look when 2 people like that come together, a dressmaker and an upholsteress? That would be some nice furniture in there and some awesome dresses. Figure out the businesses that would complement each other, and we could have a team of people that would search like high and low for upcoming talent, young talent, you know, people that took a business class at community, go talk to the teacher and ask them, hey, who's your students that you think would be interested in having a store at half the price? We could even have lotteries. I think when I was in Power Up, there was a section of Frankfurt that was so bad that they actually had a lottery where they were giving away stores to business. Could find a way to supplement the rent that the owner wanted and pay half, and then the 2 business people or 3 would pay the other half, and we could agree to do it for just 1 year to get you past that first 1 or 2 years.
Did you hear about Curtis Jones's shipping?
I sure did.
That sounds like something that would be awesome. I'm curious to see how that works.
I want to go see it when it's finished. I want to go see it when it's finished, because someone was talking to me about that the other day and how that came to be. And it was originally supposed to be someone else that was supposed to do it, but the politics and the red tape, and they kept sort of dropping the ball, and he went on and got it done. And I'm curious to know, even though it's being done, was it community people on the job getting it done? Because a lot of these development sites don't have that. And what are going to be the criteria for the businesses to go in there?
Right. There's nothing out there yet.
We don't want a little hair shop in there. You know, like find those businesses that are different, that are unique, that people would just really like, but sometimes because of their uniqueness, they really don't have the money and stuff to get the storefront, and the bank won't lend them the money, you know, and then we could have a series of questions and things we go through. And if we couple them with somebody else, even if you're not doing all that well, the other person is. So, you know, it's ways to support businesses. I want to say these numbers. Philadelphia is 44% Black, 42 to 46% Black and brown if you do it that way. We have 68% Black and brown councilmatic representation. So that means Black people are overrepresented. There is no way you can have half of the population overrepresented in city council where everything gets voted and takes place, and then be less than 2.5% of the business population. That is mathematically impossible. And the only way to get that type of result is if you, the people who are voting incorrectly. You're putting the wrong people in and they're selling you out. You can't be 2.5% of the positive if you're already 44% of the whole population.
Well, what does that say?
68% of people in that look like you. They have to sell you out.
What message is? What is that mess? What is that message?
We have to change our way of voting and change our mind how we look at when we vote for someone. And I think that our Black communities are largely at fault because we're doing the same thing we accuse other people of doing.
We discussed this morning.
Somebody just because they're Black and you did not look at their platform, you're not voting.
Well, you also
community.
Voting, like I wrote in that piece the other day, is about what your values are based on, and also having a political action committee.
Yes, I love that idea.
Money behind the candidate means more in politics than anything. And if a group of people, Business Corridor, Wayne Avenue, if there ever is to develop a strong business corridor, there needs to be a business association that has a political action committee involved in it. And that put their money and invite candidates that will back what their value system is in that community.
Yes.
That's how you have to vote, with your money, not with just your vote. Because you can give me your vote, but if you ain't giving me no money, but the big boy Weinstein, I'm honest to him.
Yeah, 44%. So we vote people in, but other people that don't look like us make sure they make the campaign contributions so their issues are heard. And we're the only ones that are like, I want this, that, and the other, but you won't even do a $25 fish fry or whatever. And you have other people like Ken Weinstein that will invest thousands and millions, not even only in the candidate, but in the community. So it's hard sometimes to really get mad at someone who has a monopoly over something, but they're also doing, you know, the right things that they're supposed to do, or doing the things that we're not doing. So I always remember my mom said, when you're pointing a finger at someone, remember you're pointing 3 back at yourself. And before, you know, and I'm not taking anybody off the hook, I just want to, I think more of the focus for me has always been on me and the people that look like me and what we need to do before we start telling other people what we want or what they can't do or what they should be doing for us. We are better prepared and have more knowledge of what we need to anybody else. So we need to damn do it and stop waiting for
and the basic concept.
Find a lot of Black people, middle class, upper middle class, higher class, low middle class, and poor, they still have family values. And even if they teeter or whatever, no one likes what we're seeing in the streets right now. These numbers are literally have the chance to be over 600 before the year is out. It really does, for the homicide rate. And that says a lot. And it's not just saying something about our city, but it's saying something about the homes and the parents in the city. Because no amount of money, all this gun violence money and grant money, is still not going to resolve the issue. Not if you have
grant money. That's a truth. It's about values. It's about what
values, exactly.
City values. It's a lost value system because there's no one in the city establishing a value of justice. Now we have Krasner. Krasner is trying to do whatever he can do. But let me get back to a point you made.
Okay.
Until our communities develop a political action committee and get serious about it and move from a lost value system to a value system, and put money behind the candidate. I remember Lou and Chu's bar every year had some type of political campaign,
They still do.
and they always protected his interests. All the bars around him shut down except for his. And
Yeah, you have
I mean, truly.
Oh, you the bigger one.
He was involved in that, and it's basically pay to play. You have to.
You're absolutely
got to
right.
get out of the mindset of just voting and saying, "Oh, that's my candidate, that's my candidate," and adding the color thing into it. But to say, "Hey, seriously, what do we really want for? What do I really want for Wayne Avenue? And what is our value system saying to the politician? Do you hold our values the same?"
If everybody comes to our community to get rich, then we have money. We just don't know how to come together and use it collectively. And I would like to seriously ask mothers, if you can spend that much money on nails, why can't you spend some money on something that makes sense? I've been on phone calls this summer or talked to people who had group phone calls, and they I signed up too late and they really didn't want me on it because I guess I would sort of control the conversation or actually speak the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
The truth. Because I told her, I said, you're not realizing that you have mothers out here that are buying guns for their kids and stuff like that. And so later on, this person, I won't mention their name, but they're very involved community person, and it had to be like 50 people on the call. She called me back. She said, "Oh my God, Wanda, you were right." I said, "I told you." Like, please don't get it twisted. I came from West Philly. I lived in Mount Airy. I'm now in Germantown. I raised my kids someplace else, but I come back to Philly every single day. My official address is Germantown. So when people ask, I live in Germantown. Every once in a while, I sleep someplace else, but I come back every single day and don't have to, because I believe in not selling out. So many people make enough money that they leave and don't look back. I come back because I know the same way I became something and the odds were against me, and it just took one little thing to shift. That could be the same thing for another child. So these mothers will find money for guns, and they find monies for funerals. I want them to shift their way of thinking to finding money for a summer class like droning, which starts at $25 an hour. Once your kid gets the certificate, and the class is as low as $800. So the same $800 you spent to get a gun, you could spend that $800 for a droning class. Your child at 16 could have a certificate and be making $25 an hour or their own video. One kid I met and heard from, he was literally working with a realtor and making $100 every time they called him just to take pictures of the house from the sky. And that's the type of thing that can rival any drug dealer. When I can bring something like that to the community, or idea like that, or get mothers to think that way, nobody wants to hang out with a drug dealer for real and have one eye open and always be watching your back. They rather be making money and making mom proud, but we have to give them the opportunity, not handouts, opportunities and access. Because when you give people handouts, then you create a crutch, and the next minute you know, they're very comfortable, like this whole belly of people from COVID that would rather get a free check than to make a little bit more but have to work for it. They rather do nothing to get a little than to do something and get a lot more. They're comfortable. And we have to be very careful what we do in our community, because sometimes helping isn't really helping if they never change the way they think and the way they do things.